resolved that Kelly Mulligan is hereby authorized to serve beer and/or wine at a gathering at the Clifton Park Senior Community Center on April 27, 2019, from 1 to 6 p.m., consistent with the terms of the permit application received in the office of the Clifton Park Senior Community Center.
Very good. Thank you, Teresa. Any questions on the resolutions? Okay, if you would read the headings, and we'll consider each resolution individually.
Resolution number 78 of 2019, a resolution awarding the bids for the Clifton Park Town Hall exterior renovation project pursuant to General Municipal Law, Section 103. So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Standard, second by Mr. Whalen. So the exterior of the building is both a stucco type exterior and brick. This would only pertain to the non-brick surface. The scope of work is as follows, but not limited to, and Dan did a very good job putting this together. The entire exterior surface to be pressure washed and cleaned with approved general purpose cleaner. All sealants and caulk joints to be removed. Repair any and all cracks, dents, or holes using approved materials and methods. Replace any exterior foam and or hardboard as required. Repair all surfaces with a 100% acrylic base coat and finish with a hydrophobic or equivalent coating. Paint entire exterior surface. Exact color to be determined by the town after the bid. And we're going to get a pallet on that. An area of special concern, the area on the northeast section of the structure, will require more stringent stripping and reconstruction with removal of existing material to the studs. So we've talked about different colors, but we'll have a swatch soon, right, Dan? They're going to provide that?
Yep, they're going to give us some colors to choose from.
Yeah. So anything else that you want to add to that as far as why it's needed and the process that we went through?
Absolutely. The reason it's needed, it's this original part of Town Hall was built in 1957, and there was an addition out front in 1974, and then the northeast corner was in 1995. And just the nature of this type of system, it's that cement type of thing, and the weather wears on it, eventually wears out, cracks happen, building expands and contracts. So it's just a matter of weather. It's due, it's time, and that's why we're going about it.
Yeah, there's been repairs over the years, obviously, but yeah, not a complete replace. So that's what we're doing here.
Yep.
And I think with the new color, it would look much better as well.
Agreed.
Yeah. Maybe a nice corporate gray.
Sounds good to me.
Maybe a bright purple.
Well, I don't know about that. I'll stay with the gray.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How about a neon lime? Put this town on the map, won't we?
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
From space.
Any questions for Dan?
I just have one.
Yes.
Dan, what's the expected time frame on the project?
How long it's going to take?
Like start date, how long?
It has to be above 50 degrees outside before they can put this application on there. So you're looking at probably end of April, beginning of May. That's why we're kind of getting after this early, because these companies start booking out their work way early. So we're getting on their schedule. So we haven't got a start date yet from them, but it's going to probably take, I'd say, 30 days to complete the project once they get going.
Thanks.
Yep.
Very good. Thank you, Dan. Great job on the process and identifying scope of work and moving it to the next phase. So we'll be very good to get this job completed. Okay. Any other questions for Dan? Okay, Teresa.
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilman Wallowit?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 79 of 2019, a resolution extending the hours of the convenience transfer station for the annual spring cleanup, green-up, and fall cleanup weeks. So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Standard, second by Ms. Wallowit. Won't be long, and we'll be into yard waste season here. And every spring, as well as every fall, we extend the hours of the transfer station to allow folks who want to get yard waste either in the spring or the fall down to the transfer station, they can do that with a little more time. So please take advantage. I know many do. And now on those days, we do not accept household garbage, just yard waste. Okay.
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallowit?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 80 of 2019, a resolution increasing justice court revenues and expenditures by $4,620 for security cameras and office equipment purchased with funds received from a Justice Court Assistance Program grant.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Wallowit, second by Mr. Whalen. Discussion. Okay, Teresa?
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallowit? Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 81 of 2019, a resolution scheduling a public hearing to consider renewing existing term easements pursuant to section 12510, conservation easements of the town code.
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Mr. Whalen, second by Mrs. Standard. We have a conservation easement program that we've offered for a number of years. It's an opportunity for larger landowners in the town of Clifton Park to receive a tax benefit if they agree not to develop their property for a period of years, and they pick the term. Could be 15 years, could be 20 years, or 25 years. And they agree not to develop their property for that period of time in exchange for a tax benefit. We have 2,000 acres in that program, pretty much at all times. Each year we review the agreements that are expiring. We certainly work with the landowner to hopefully retain them in the program and keep those 2,000 acres protected. Now, this is a temporary protection measure. We also have our open space program, which is more of a permanent protection program. We have permanently protected 1,700 acres since that was initiated in 2001. So between the two programs, we have a substantial record in protecting properties, including our farms, and also adding to our parks and recreational network. We just recently received a grant working with the Schwartzes on Ashdown Road, on the corner of Ashdown and 146A. Their farm, Maple Hill Farm, will be permanently protected through a state grant that we were able to obtain, again, working with them in partnership on that grant application. So we look for those opportunities at all times, and we'll continue to do so. This has been a very successful program, and we're proud to offer it to any eligible landowners. You need 15 acres or more to join. Okay. Any further discussion on setting this public hearing? Okay, Teresa?
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallowit?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 82 of 2019, a resolution scheduling a public hearing on a proposal to amend town code to define breweries and distilleries in a light industrial zone.
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Mr. Whalen, second by Mrs. Standard. We have small amount of changes that we're considering under this public hearing that will be conducted next week. No, April 1st, I'm sorry. Will be conducted April 1st. The main thing that we're considering changing is, and certainly these changes are available to anybody that would like to look at them at the clerk's office, but the main thing we're looking to change is to bring our code in line with the New York State laws concerning distilleries and breweries, and one item is food items. The state code reads food items. Now the brewery and the distillery, and we do have one of each in LI zone at exit 10. Food items intended to complement the tasting of alcoholic beverages, which shall mean a diversified selection of food that is ordinarily consumed without the use of tableware and can be conveniently consumed while standing or walking, including but not limited to cheeses, fruits, vegetables, chocolates, breads, mustards, and crackers. I wonder who looks all this up and writes all this.
The attorneys.
It's always the lawyers, you know. All of the provisions of this chapter relative to licenses to sell beer at retail for consumption on and off the premises shall apply so far as applicable to such licensee. They go into painstaking detail here to describe some of the allowed food items at breweries and distilleries, and again, we want our code to match and allow for what's included in the New York State Code. So that's a big part of the considerations for the public hearing. Any other discussion before we set the public hearing? Okay, Teresa?
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallowit? Yes. Supervisor Barry?
Yes, and if you haven't been in either of those facilities, they have what's called tasting rooms, where you can get a little glass of beer or a little bit of the distillery. It's all bourbon, isn't it? Or is it? I don't know. Do they? Okay.
Rum,
Oh,
rye,
as well.
vodka.
Okay. So, you know, you can get little tastings there, and so it's an interesting concept. Okay, Teresa?
Resolution number 83 of 2019, a resolution approving an agreement for payment in lieu of taxes with Solitude Solar LLC doing business as U.S. Light Energy, 830 Loudon Road, Latham, New York. So moved. Second.
Moved by Mrs. Standard, second by Ms. Walloway. We've touched on these agreements recently. There's a few rather large solar farms that will be under construction in the town of Clifton Park. One over by Ashdown Road. A lot going on in Ashdown. Protection of farms and solar farms. One on the Lindsay property, Lindsay Farm property, and one on the Hicks Farm property. And they're rather large. You may see ours, the town's solar farm, on the capped landfill as you drive into the transfer station, and you see over 3,000 solar panels, and it looks pretty impressive. It's up on the hill, looks pretty big, right? Well, these are much bigger than that, if you can picture that, if you do visit the transfer station. These are much bigger, but they do vary in size. They're not all the same size, but much bigger than the one at the landfill. And they'll be built on property at the three locations. This one in particular that we're considering is with Solitude Solar as part of the process. They contact governmental agencies. We have a particular amount of time in order to reply to their outreach, which they're obliged to do. And in each case, we did reply within the specified amount of time. We then meet with each company and negotiate a fair pilot agreement. So that's what is in front of you to approve this evening with this particular solar farm. Very good. Okay, Teresa?
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallowit?
Yes.
Supervisor Barry?
Yes.
Resolution number 84 of 2019, a resolution hiring seasonal lifeguards and head lifeguards for the 2019 summer season for Barney Road, Country Knolls, and Locust Lane pools. So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Standard, second by Mr. Whalen. We must be getting close to spring. Now we're the lifeguards coming on board, the three town pools. If you've never joined the pools, you should consider it. We have three town pools. All of them are well run, and we have a great staff at the pools. So it's just a great place to spend the summer. Any discussion? Okay, Teresa?
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallowit?
Yes.
Supervisor Barry?
Yes.
Resolution number 85 of 2019, a resolution authorizing the hiring of summer staff for the Parks Recreation Department.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Whalen, second by Ms. Wallet. Diana, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Tell us about Mr. Carroll.
Sean comes to us with 4 years of experience in the camp season. He started in 2015. He spent a lot of time in the half-day and full-day camp programs. So he has extensive knowledge of the camp and kind of the paperwork that goes along with it. He's very well respected by the campers, his peers, and parents as well. He brings great enthusiasm, and we're very excited that we're able to bring him in. Although the camps are a little sad, we're gonna bring him in the office for the season, and I think the kids and everyone's gonna be real excited when they come in and see him in his new role. I know that we're very excited. It's a very busy time for us. Our spring summer book is out, and the registrations are coming in, and the calls are picking up, and so Sean's gonna start with us next Monday, and we're excited to have him.
Great, fantastic. And I know that it's important in that position, which is a seasonal position, but it's during the very busy time for the department. You need to be a quick study with some of the programs, have some technological acumen, and he fits that.
Absolutely, and just in addition to that, he's already kind of ahead of the game by having all of the camp knowledge, being familiar with the forms, the
Right.
requirements that Department of Health places on us. So, he's coming in, kind of at day 3 of training already. So we're very fortunate because you do need to be a quick study. There's a lot that he's going to help out with. He's going to kind of have it thrown at him in a short amount of time, but he's very, like I said, enthusiastic, and he's excited to get started.
All right, very good. Any questions for Diana? Okay, Teresa.
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilwoman Malowitz?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes, just one more thing on that solar pilot agreement. It's mentioned in the resolution, but this is, the address for this solar project is 164 Sugar Hill Road in Rexford, and it's a 4.75 megawatt. So just to give you an idea, the one on the capped landfill at the transfer station that the town constructed is 1 megawatt. So that gives you an idea of the difference in the amount of energy that will be generated. The first year payment per the pilot agreement will be next year, 2020. $24,225 is the first year, and it goes up slightly every year after. So we have talked about, the last time we talked about a pilot agreement on a solar farm, that we would direct these funds towards a particular ongoing project or piece of property, whatever the case may be. We don't have to do that tonight, but it is something to think about. We've kicked around some ideas. We could do it under general beautification projects in the town, perhaps expenses relating to the new park, and will be at Exit 9, 37 acres that we purchased from the Shenandoah School District. We'll be announcing hopefully tomorrow what the meeting schedule will be on that. So another great opportunity for anybody that wants to be involved in one of our long-range planning processes. You'll have a chance, multiple chances to be a part of that process, and we're always sure to allow for as much public input and public meetings through any of these long-range studies, because we want to hear from you as to your ideas, opinions, concerns with regard to any of the studies that we conduct. So anyway, we've been kicking around some ideas, and we'll continue to do that. For example, the cell tower revenue from the cell tower on the common, we've used that for upgrades, anything that's needed on the common. You know, the annual revenue can be impactful. Very good. Any comments, questions,
Just
Mr.
one thing
Doyle?
on the pilot.
Sure.
It's over. Just, I think, to distinguish this one from other pilot programs you typically see in other areas where
Mhm.
these are used for economic development, that these solar farms, are tax exempt under the real property tax law. So this is an opportunity for the municipality to offset the lack of increase in tax revenue, and certainly use that money for public works projects, which I think certainly is very forward-looking, and I think a good idea as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. On to the next one, Teresa.
Resolution number 86 of 2019, a resolution adopting local law number 3 of 2019 to amend and rename the Verbeck-Frank Plan Development District by amending local law number 2 of 1967 as amended by local law number 10 of 1996 of the town code entitled Local Law Relating to Zoning for the Town of Clifton Park. So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Standard, second by Mr. Whalen. We held this public hearing last week, and we did have a couple of speakers. I wanted noted for the record that their questions regarding to lighting, which I think were answered satisfactorily by the applicant, but I want his answers noted in this and any future approval, to make sure that that's an item that the planning board continues to look at closely. As they talked about at the meeting, the applicant that is, the ongoing need for memory care for folks as they age is something that it's a need that continues to grow, unfortunately. And we have a first-class facility right down the street here on 146. It's been there for a number of years, and they're looking to construct an addition, a rather small addition that will come out towards 146, not back towards the other private properties that are there. Certainly I think they made a very good argument and case for the growing need. Obviously, I don't think they would want to take on the additional cost if they didn't see that growing need that needed to be filled in our community. Whether it's a facility like this or St. Peter's Nursing Home at Exit 9, people want their loved ones that need this type of care close to home. It makes an impact in a positive way on their quality of life to have them close by. So with the large increase in medical services that are now available in Clifton Park, we think this is a natural extension of that. And personally, I do support the amendment. Okay. Any other discussion? Yes, Mr. Webb?
I would just add that when they made a presentation, I think the first time, we had clarified with them
Yes.
that they do need to obtain a certificate of need from the New York City Department of Health, which they anticipate receiving. I think the proposal is certainly consistent with the current use. It's about a 25% increase, both in terms of square footage and parking lot size. As you said, it's unfortunate that it's a need, but it's certainly an ongoing need moving forward. The setbacks would be consistent with current zoning,
Right.
and I would support the recommendation made by the planning board that aesthetically the building materials and structures used be consistent with what's currently there, to make it appear, to the extent possible, that there's been one structure as opposed to an additional structure sort of tacked on,
Right.
for lack of a better
Right.
phrase.
Well, that's a
to
good
the building,
point.
so.
And a 100-foot buffer was established when the building was first constructed and approved, and that buffer will not be entered into, will not be disturbed. So I think that was another important point that was made at the public hearing. Okay. Any other comment, questions? Okay. Teresa?
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallowit?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 87 of 2019, a resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign a lease agreement with National Business Technologies for a digital copying system for use by the Department of Building and Zoning.
Moved by Mrs. Standard, second by Ms. Wallowit. Discussion. Teresa?
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallowit?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 88 of 2019, a resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign a lease agreement with Fruitful Vine Christian Church for rental of the top floor of the Burning Bush Clubhouse.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Standard, second by Mr. Whalen. The Fruitful Vine Church has rented the upper floor, maybe that upper floor space, but also down below, in the, what we call the Burning Bush Clubhouse, Country Knolls Clubhouse. Been called a few different names, but it's up off Burning Bush Boulevard in Country Knolls, with a property right there bordering that park property that looks directly at the building. I can say that they've been a very good tenant and have not disrupted the neighborhood in any way, and they've been a great addition. They really have, and I want to commend Pastor Ernie North and his congregants for being a positive force in our community, and I don't see any reason to recommend anything to the town board other than that we continue to lease to the church. They do wonderful things in our community. It's great to see after Mass on Sunday, they have a youth group. They come out and use the basketball courts, which don't get used as much as they should, at least in my opinion. And I've since I don't live there any longer, but did for a number of years, and always enjoyed watching them having fun out there. And you know, when you live next to a park like that, and I live adjacent to the basketball courts. You know, sometimes it's noisy, but it's a good noise. You know, it's a happy noise with kids and adults having a good time. So I've always enjoyed that. Any discussion, questions? I haven't received any complaints over the years. I don't know if anybody on the board has. I've received nothing but positives about the church. Okay, Teresa?
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallowit?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 89 of 2019, a resolution authorizing alcoholic beverages to be served at a gathering to be held at the Clifton Park Senior Community Center on April 27, 2019.
Moved by Ms. Wallowit, second by Mr. Whalen. Simple request, and I hope they have fun. Teresa?
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallowit?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes. Any other business to come before the board this evening? Okay, seeing none. We'll go to public privilege. If you'd like to speak on a town matter, please raise your hand. We'll ask that you come forward. State your name and address for the record, and please keep it to 5 minutes or less. Anybody would like to speak tonight on a town matter? Anybody want to say how exciting it is to be at a town board meeting? And that you didn't have to be here because of a class, you wanted to be here? Yes? No? No?
Okay, that's a push.
All right, we'll let him off the...
A motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay.
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallowit?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes, thank you.